There we go. With me is Norwegian Guy. We're going to be discussing about Mass Effect. He played about 12
No, no, no.
minutes.
I didn't play any of it. I saw the IGN basically posted a video of a loyalty mission of one of the characters. Now, keep in mind, this was just a few minute long video. It wasn't
Okay,
like it's. I'm not. I'm gonna stress this because it's important. I want to be as unbiased as I can
that's fine.
and say that this is probably not representative of the whole game. So
Yeah,
keep that in mind.
yeah.
Uh, but what I saw is that the game looked beautifully from a technical perspective. The game looked absolutely gorgeous, and the gameplay looked fine. The facial animations are meh, they still look weird, but
Yeah, it's because the Frostbite engine tends to, it doesn't always look great, and that's the biggest problem with the Frostbite engine because a lot of people say, "Oh, it looks fine," but when I bring it up about how the Frostbite engine doesn't do a good job with facial expressions and everything, and it kind of a lot of people kind of reject that idea that this is the fault of the Frostbite engine. I understand that the animators um, originally did it with a different type of engine, which was I believe on with Mass
it was
Effect. They
unreal. Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 used the Unreal 3 engine, but you have to keep in mind from the development of Mass Effect 1 up till Mass Effect 3, you know, the Unreal 3 engine went through some massive changes during
yeah,
its life
and
cycle.
they told me that they modified these engines.
Heavily. And you have to remember the Mass Effect 1 engine is incredibly different from the Unreal 3 engine in Mass Effect 2 and
Yeah,
Mass Effect 3. All these engines are very different. What's weird about the Mass Effect trilogy is that they somehow made Mass Effect 3 look more shitty than Mass Effect 2. There were some really bad texture pop-ins in Mass Effect 3 as far as I remember. I didn't
yeah.
have that problem with Mass Effect 2. They actually managed to hide the ugly textures pretty well. Um, but going back to Andromeda, the game looks really nice. It's still, you can tell it's the Frostbite engine because once you look at some muddy textures, I immediately thought about Battlefield 1's textures a little bit.
I do agree with you on that because Frostbite engine does do wonderful 3D environments.
hmm I
And
mean, it looks really nice, but the thing that I really reacted to and I want to stress this again, it may not be representative of the whole game because they had some funny missions in Mass Effect 3, which they had some really weird dialogue that was meant to be weird and meant to be cheesy. Like some certain missions in Mass Effect 2 were meant to be a little cheesy, and in Mass Effect 3 and the Citadel DLC, they were just going all out. So
yeah,
I appreciated that kind of humor. I enjoyed the humor in the Citadel DLC when Shepard finds out she has a clone and all that kind of stuff. That was
I
hilarious.
know.
And
I thought it was fun when I did the clone mission. I was just like, really? And then you have to choose. You have to choose which one would be the best representative of the clone. I'm like, you want the real Shepard or you?
yeah, it was really funny. And what made it funny and made it really funny and actually hilarious to play was the fact that up until that point, you've been playing with a bunch of characters who were in a serious situation and all had very serious issues to deal with. And this was sort of like okay, let's put them in a hilarious situation, and that works when you do that with them. And that's what I'm hoping this loyalty mission is, that it's one of those cases where they just put him in a weird situation. But the idea here, when I listened to the dialogue, it was like the childish, lamest dialogue I've heard. It didn't feel like, oh well, I guess we gotta go up and blow up this thingy. It was more, and it didn't sound right. It sounded strange to me. I recently replayed the trilogy and the Mass Effect trilogy, and hearing that dialogue in Mass Effect Andromeda from the short clip that I saw was off-putting, and I didn't like the voice actress who is the main voice actress for the female Ryder, which is the female version of the character you're playing. You can also play as the brother. I didn't like the voice actress very much, but of course, it's gonna take a lot to beat Jennifer Hale. You know, that's not an easy thing to.
I understand the feeling of that because a lot of people talked about the writer the I understand there's an assistant writer named San Mags that's working with them, and they hired her recently for the Mass Effect game to assist on the writing staff for the game. And a lot of people criticized her because she was like the one that you know who Sam Maggs is. She works for
Oh yeah.
Mary Sue, and she was known for
I know the story. It's an interesting one. I'm not sure how big her involvement is with this game. That's what I'm being curious about because I haven't really found any clear answers to that, how big her involvement actually is. I can tell you for a fact that that I mean, BioWare today is not the same BioWare that was during Inquisition or Hell. I mean,
that's
during
true.
Mass
That's
Effect 3
true
or even
because
Inquisition.
half of their staff left for
Yeah, a lot of them left to do other projects and became indie developers or formed their own studios because I think they just wanted to do their own stuff. And I think BioWare today is nowhere near the same company as it was. I mean, even the former CEO left at one point,
actually
and
sold it to EA from what I understand.
no, not the original guys, not the doctors, because there were two doctors actually that founded BioWare, but it's not those two guys that I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm talking about the director for Mass Effect 3.
Oh, Hudson. I forgot his name. Casey
Yeah,
Hudson.
hmm he left,
Yeah,
and he
he's
was.
working for Microsoft now. That's the weird
Mhm.
part as a creative.
No, no, actually, a lot of people have actually gone to Microsoft, and I suspect, and this is a little off topic, but I think the reason why you're seeing a lot, especially Western and American developers, go to Microsoft is because that Microsoft have actually given. I mean, I remember during the 360 era, Microsoft actually gave a lot of indie developers and new gaming developers a lot of leeway to develop games for the 360. That's why you saw the game library for the 360 explode,
And
while the P.
plus money from
Yeah,
what I heard from Japanese developers, because a lot of Japanese developers told me from their perspective, from reading articles, um, a lot of Microsoft practices was they were giving out money to developers to give them exclusives to their games, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, but it's criticize if we're going to criticize Microsoft for that, we also have to criticize PlayStation for that because they're doing the same thing now. And now they have all the timed exclusives,
True.
and they have, and so they are doing the same
They
thing.
got
But I think,
Kojima.
yeah, but Kojima was always has always been sort of like on the Sony page. You know, most Metal Gear games came out only for the
One,
PS
PS
system
One,
for
and then
PlayStation.
PS Two, and PS three, and then of course PS Four.
I mean, he goes back a long way with Sony,
I know his
and
relationship is pretty good with Sony. That's why they got him because he was
yeah,
always
they basically gave him a shit ton of money, and Guerrilla Games, basically, you know, the engine that he's making the game in right now, that's the same engine that Horizon is using. And so the guys at Guerrilla Games actually got together with Kojima, and I really respect the Guerrilla Games guys a lot because they make some incredible looking games. Um, and I think
there's been
that
some, and it's sad that they got criticized in that whole situation about their game that they developed for Horizon.
yeah, but I'm getting Horizon tomorrow. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna, it's in the mail. I ordered it because I saw enough gameplay to say, you know what, I want to play this. I'm gonna buy it. If it sucks, it sucks. But I'm that's not what I'm hearing from a lot of people and who have, and Zeno liked it, and so did a lot of other people so far. So I'm waiting for it tomorrow. I'm gonna play a couple of hours of it tomorrow and see how I like it. And yeah, but they basically gave Kojima the engine. It was like the tech demo we saw at E3 from Kojima's game. We're going way off topic here. And the tech demo, yeah, they were that was Guerrilla Games collaborating with Hideo Kojima. He chose that engine. He went around to many gaming developers and looked at engine. I think he looked at a lot of engines and he settled on the engine that Guerrilla Games had. And I think that was a smart move because the engine looks incredible. And I'm very curious to see what Kojima's project is. But yeah, but keep in mind, Frostbite engine is basically, I mean, it was DICE who created the Frostbite engine, but it's now the proprietary engine of EA. I mean, this is EA's baby now, and they're making a lot of games in the Frostbite engine. You had Mirror's Edge was made in Frostbite. You had a lot of games, for a lot. Yeah, the Battlefield series have always been Frostbite. They have always been
Battlefield
Frostbite.
series was always the bigger was the biggest one since
Yeah, but that's made by DICE. You know, DICE created the Frostbite engine for Battlefield. So that's how that came all back. I
yeah.
mean, Battlefield, they have different iterations of the Frostbite engine. But I think what makes, I think that looking at Dragon Age Inquisition, I have to say that game, whatever you think about it, looked damn good. It
I
was a very,
It was very smooth. It was very nice, but a lot of people complained about when the trailer came out about Morgan's face and everything. And I remembered a lot of people talked about it and criticized that issue about Morgan's face in that game.
yeah, I mean, here's the problem with the facial animations in Frostbite, and you notice this a lot, especially in there was a short gameplay trailer that came out, I believe, a year ago,
Hmm.
for Mass Effect Andromeda, where they showed off quick clips and stuff, and then you saw the blue hair, the blue alien, the Asari alien,
Yeah,
basically basically you know, moving her eyes, and you know what it reminded me of? The facial animation was so stiff. It reminded me of Arnold Schwarzenegger smiling in Terminator 2. That is the impression I got from it. It was like it was like awkward.
yeah, I kind of agree with that one because it's like I don't know.
No, because there is this scene in the trailer where you see the blue Asari from Mass Effect Andromeda, and she gets a gun pointed at her head, and her eyes goes wide, but it's such a mechanical movement by the eyes. It's like yeet. It goes like you can almost hear the while the eyelids
Yeah,
go up. You know, it looks so.
I saw like they introduced a black character in the game, and I was just like looking at his face, like it looked like he was about to go to the bathroom while shooting a gun.
And
I was just like,
I mean, it's they I hope that's something they have worked on, but I didn't get to see a lot of facial animations in this demo. It was mainly, you know, they had helmets on and stuff like that.
that's
So
true.
I'm gonna be curious to see how it is. But you know, I'm not gonna buy the game. I have what is called EA Early Access, like
Yeah.
$3, and I get to try the game for 10 hours. I get a 10-hour trial that's out on March 16th, and I'm gonna play it for 10 hours. If I'm not liking it by 2 hours, I'm not buying it.
Okay, that's fair
So
enough.
I'm gonna play the 10 hours full out. I'm gonna really invest some time into the game because I like Mass Effect.
I do too. I do
I don't want
too.
this I don't want this game to be bad. I really want it to be good, but I'm looking at the dialogue, and the dialogue was a huge part of Mass Effect. And listening to some of this dialogue in that short clip was like, But like I said, you know, I have to be unbiased and say, yeah, this may not be representative for the entire game. I only saw a short clip, but if I play 10 hours of this game in the trial version that comes out on March 16, if I play it all the 10 hours and I still hate the dialogue, nah, I'm not getting it.
Yeah, because I really do I do like Mass Effect because I do have the original copy of the game, not the like the collector's edition where when you have all three games in one. Um,
Yeah, I got the collector's edition for PC. I originally got the Mass Effect game for console when they came out, but I
yeah,
sold my old console and I sold a lot of my games. So I just I got the Mass Effect trilogy for $20, and I figured why the hell not? You know, it's like
yeah, I kind of enjoyed the Mass Effect series too because it was like when I first started out, it kind of got boring. Then when you heard the news about there's sex in the game, and that's when it motivated people to play and buy that game. because of Fox
I love the
News.
I love the fact that people were upset. The people who were really like the religious right and the
Yeah,
PTA people were really pissed at Jack Thompson when he said, "I don't have a problem with it."
yeah, I
He
know.
actually didn't. He actually didn't care about that particular issue. He thought it was ridiculous. It was like, it was like, nah, it's fine. You know, that's not what I'm getting. His
He
only
was
concern was
more
like,
the children. He was more concerned about children purchasing a violent video game.
yeah, that was his whole shtick. He didn't want to ban games outright. That was not his thing. He just said make it harder for children to get a hold of R-rated games, and that's fair. Yeah, but going back on it, I really don't know how much more I can say about it now because it's 2 more weeks until the trial comes out, and then I'm gonna
The
play it.
jury's still out on this one.
Yeah, the jury is really still out. I have to say I do like a few things about what I've seen from Andromeda. I like the ship designs. I like the fact that you're able to travel to other planets. I love the fact that they put a heavy emphasis on exploration this time. You have to go and explore and scavenge. And that I like that. I like the whole we're fish out of water and we're trapped in this other galaxy trying to find a new home. I like that.
I kind of agree because
that part of this
the first one I remembered, you had to scavenge material. You had to go to a planet and you had to like from what I remember, you had to look for look for material on a planet and use the little freaking sound wave system that they
yeah.
implemented in the ship just to get the material.
Yeah, the thing that they're doing now, I mean, there's one concern I have with the exploration thing
Hmm.
is that if they go full Dragon Age Inquisition, because the problem with Dragon Age Inquisition was that there was just too many fucking side quests in the beginning of
I
that game.
I kind of agree because I
Especially the most boring part of the game. I mean, the way you start the game is so fucking boring. It takes forever to get anywhere. It's like it's the fucking hinterlands. I mean, I remember
I
reading a
kind of
for
agree with you on that because the Hinterlands was like, God, and I had to
okay,
explore half that area, and that
by
wasn't just
foot
by foot.
by foot or because you have to get to the stable and get the fucking horse first. Just that is a fucking marathon.
I
Getting to that fucking stable and getting that
I kind
horse.
of agree because it was like you had to figure out where to go.
That is my fear that they're gonna do that and put in all these measly fucking side quests where you basically have to traverse the entire fucking planet to find some little piece of shit thing that you have to bring back to whoever gave you the quest.
I
It's
know.
because the problem, I mean, Hinterlands was almost decide. I have never used a game cheat trainer on a game on a game that I played for the first time
Yeah.
until I got Dragon Age Inquisition because I'm like, fuck it, I'm using a game trainer. Is there any way to speed up? So
I know.
I use like a
I
speed up
know.
cheat. I use like a speed up cheat. So my character was like fucking Flash running through the woods.
I personally, I it took me a while just to play that game on the console,
Oh,
and
and one more
go
fucking
ahead.
thing that was annoying with Dragon Age Inquisition. When you went to the war room and you had to send people out on missions, you had the fucking countdown timer. Every time you're gonna build something,
Yeah,
it's the mobile game thing where they have a
I
fucking
kind of
timer that counts
agree.
time.
It
I
was
hate that
boring.
shit.
I
Why the
hated that.
fuck would you do that?
Yeah, because I think they wanted to extend like the hours and days of that thing. It's like
A
40.
horrible way to do it. I
It's
mean, you
like
already
it was like I was like looking at it, going like, okay, so I gotta wait like at least about an hour or
yeah.
48 hours or
But somebody, but somebody, thank God, on the PC version actually made a mod that basically just removes the timer. I'm like, thank God. I am not
yeah,
gonna. I am not gonna sit here for 2 hours and wait till Liliana gets back from her little diplomatic mission. Fuck that.
yeah, because considering that game was like the most time consuming, I didn't play the DLCs because I was just like looking at the DLCs, going like, okay, so if
I did play them, and here's what pissed me off about the DLC. One of the DLC actually contains the true ending of the game. That pissed me off. It's like one of the DLCs starts out right after you beat the game, right? Right after
Yeah.
you beat the big baddie. And then it continues on where you have to see the consequences of what happened after your decisions. They actually sold that as DLC. That was the real ending of the game. They sold that DLC. That is the true ending of that game, and it resolves all the plot points, and it introduces a couple of new ones to move the story forward, and it ends on a very ambiguous way where they are basically just setting up the sequel, which I wonder, which is probably going to be BioWare's next RPG after Andromeda.
If Andromeda succeeds, because a lot of people are kind of like skeptical about it because what you mentioned about the writing in a few minutes, it wasn't really.
The biggest problem BioWare has with Mass Effect Andromeda is the fact that they have to win back the fans they pissed off with Mass Effect 3.
I kind
That
of
is not
agree.
that is not a good way. They I mean I the problem here is that I think that people got so invested in the characters and the story of Mass Effect 3, and to have that story end in such a way was such a slap in the face.
I kind
And
of
you
agree because
I remember
a lot of people were hoping for a better ending, and it turned out to be like, okay, nothing happened other than the fact that that we lost the planet Earth and we moved somewhere else, and and then we find out that we're in some that the Earth that the rest of the survivors are on a freaking station somewhere.
No, I think that, I mean, the Mass Effect Andromeda story kind of connects into what happens in Mass Effect 2 because,
Hmm.
according to the story synopsis for Mass Effect Andromeda, what happens is they basically travel through the Andromeda galaxy. They start the Andromeda project while the events of Mass Effect 2 is going
Yeah.
on. So you're actually traveling. So you travel on Andromeda, and you wake up 650 years later after, because
Okay.
they go into cryosleep and they wake up in Andromeda like 600 years later. And but you're not the only ship that's been sent there. Other ships from our galaxy have been sent there as well, like Asari ships, like Turian ships, because a lot of people were confused. Okay, if this is another galaxy, then what are Turians doing here? What are Asari doing here? What are other humans doing here? But it turns out that the ship you're on is just one of the ships that was sent to Andromeda. And
Ah.
once you get there, there are actually people who have been there a long time. So those are the people you meet in Andromeda. They have set up their own little bases. There are factions on Andromeda. It's a living galaxy, and then you have a big baddie guy that we don't really know much about yet. But I still feel like I still feel I just remember when I beat Mass Effect 3,
Mhm.
and I just went into the BioWare forums to see what other people were saying about it, though, and people were pissed.
I know.
There were the
I
moderators
remembered.
really the moderators really had their work cut out for them on the Mass Effect
I
forums.
know.
Holy
I remembered doing the whole. Okay, we should give them the alternative. Make another sequel because I remember posting something there about this, and I gave him the option. I just did the whole the
Yeah, a lot of
tree.
people did. A lot of people did, and I also remember one of the most popular theories about what was happening was the indoctrination theory, which turned out to be bullshit. That didn't actually
Yeah,
happen.
it didn't
But
happen.
if BioWare was smart, they would have gone with that theory, because that actually made a hell of a lot of sense. And a lot of critics were also saying that if they had gone with the Mass Effect indoctrination theory, that would have made a hell of a lot more sense than the shit we got.
Yeah, because
And
you find out that he died, and it was like from when you get the bad guy ending, you find out
yeah,
he dies. Other than the fact, even when they try to introduce the updates and everything, they try to introduce the new endings, and the new endings basically just didn't all. It gave you like a vague explanation, but it
yeah,
gave
they
you
doubled down. They doubled down on their original ending. That's what they did. And then Mac Walter is the writer for this game and for Mass Effect Andromeda, I might add, came out and said, came out and said that, oh, it's my artistic vision, and I'm going bullshit. Even the fans were so pissed. They actually went to several sci-fi writers, including a guy who had written some of the best Star Wars books, and even went to Greg Bear, who had written a shit ton of great sci-fi books. And they basically said that the narrative completely falls on its ass at the last 5 minutes. You basically fuck up.
They basically just did the epic, fall of a hero. That was
Yeah,
basically
because
what they did.
I just love the fans that just sent. They basically because they actually sent several sci-fi offers in the UK and in the United States. The clips and explained what the game was in detail, and they actually took a good look at it and said, "Yeah, the players are right here. The narrative completely falls on its ass. The last 10 minutes doesn't make any sense. And what the hell is?" And introducing this plot point as sort of like a Deus Ex Machina thing right at the end is lazy storytelling. And Mac Walters was like doubling down on like, no, this is what's my artistic vision. In other words, you didn't really have a vision, but you fucked up, and you basically decided to double down.
Yeah, so they probably wanted to end the series with a bang, and then I realized they decided to make this sequel because a lot of fans were like giving the option to let them have another sequel if there's going to be a without Shepard, they might
Yeah,
as
but
well.
I consider Mass Effect Andromeda to be a full-on reboot, and because they had to do it, because there was no way in hell they could make a sequel to Mass Effect 3, because with all the changes and all the dialogue shit, they had to do the same thing in Inquisition, where you basically had to answer like 200 questions before you started the game, and who the fuck remembers everything?
Because
And and
originally you start out with and I thought they were gonna in Dragon Age. I thought they were gonna in Dragon Age 2. I thought they were gonna use our original character that we played with, and make him go to Kurtwall and do whatever it takes to stop the Inquisition. But you find out
yeah,
he
I
disappears.
get that, but they did something in Dragon Age Inquisition where they basically had this thing on their website. If you wanted to create a save game from the first two Dragon Age games by answering questions, what did you do here? What did you do there? Right? They had all these questions, and then you could download that save file and start Inquisition. They could have done that with Andromeda for all the people who played Mass Effect 3, right? And had it make sense in the story. And because I think a lot of people I think a lot of people are gonna be like, okay, the questions about Shepard and what happened in the galaxy are gonna be a major plot point, and people are gonna be wondering about it because these characters, people gave a shit about them, and that's I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how the reception for this game is gonna be. Um, I hope it's good. I don't want it to suck. I really hope it's good. I hope I'm gonna enjoy it. But I'm not liking what I've seen so far from the dialogue. And the dialogue sounds awful. It really does. It sounds very childish, and that could work if it's just a humorous situation and the rest of the game is more serious. But if it's this kind of dialogue throughout the game, then I'm going, oh
Yeah, because originally I
god.
kind of liked it, the original, the first two Dragon Age and Mass Effect games, because they allowed you to have your own character. And then I remembered that in the next Mass Effect, you could actually transfer your character. But in Dragon Age 2, they kind of were like, nope, we're going to start you with a new character and with a new storyline with a new coat of paint, and it's like,
Well, yeah, but that's why they did the whole ask you. That's why they had the Dragon Age website set up so you could create your own custom save from the two other games. And basically, if you remember your decisions from the first two games, you could enter those decisions in that website and download a save file with the shit that you did and actually see some of the consequences. That was cool, and they could have done that with Mass Effect Andromeda, but they were like, why not do that with Mass Effect Andromeda? Why not have some of the shit that you did in all these three games have some sort of impact? That would have been nice.
I was surprised that you get to see hockey in the game. Either you played the female or the male. It wouldn't matter. And I saw hockey and I was just like, I just wish I just wish I could just play my original character because the original
Yeah, I mean,
characters were just like, my original character that I created and just play through the whole thing. But the sad thing was that they didn't want to do that because in Mass Effect they did that. That's what I liked about Mass Effect because you played through all the three, but now you have to play a new character now, and that's like, oh man,
yeah, that is also partially why a lot of people got so connected, what got so invested in Mass Effect trilogy because you played Shepard the entire time. You felt like you got to know your companions. While in Dragon Age they were constantly throwing in new characters and some side characters from other
yeah.
games popped up. It was
Same with
like so
Mass
it felt
Effect
like more.
too. Same with
But you
Mass
also have to
Effect.
remember, Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3 had some amazing voice acting. And, you had people from Battlestar Galactica, you had people from Stargate. I mean, the ship's computer, on the Normandy was voiced by the blonde chick from Battlestar Galactica.
I didn't know that.
Now, and the security guard at CSEC in the what the hell is it called? The Citadel.
Hmm.
The CSEC guy, he's voiced by Colonel Ty from Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah,
So I mean, the voice acting is absolutely top notch in those
yeah,
games. They got some really talented people,
yeah. But
and
it's sad.
and
It's
they
sad that the whole SAG protests are happening while this is going on too. Because
Oh, you know who they got to play in Mass Effect Andromeda? And
who?
they actually got one very famous person. They got Natalie Dormer from Game of Thrones.
Ah,
But she has apparently a very small role in this game. She plays the ship's doctor, and that's about it. And I'm going,
yeah.
fuck you.
Because you heard about the SAG protest. The NAFTA, I thought it was the AFTA, SAG-AFTA, whatever they're called, the organization that does the voice acting
Oh yeah,
union, and
yeah,
there, I think it's time. I'm glad that they hired some new talent because right now, but they do have the originals going on in there because I heard that you do get the voice actor and what's her name that is doing Shepard's voice. You get those two in the game.
yeah. Jennifer Hale. I mean, I gotta say this. If I don't find some fucking audio logs with Femshep's voice as Jennifer Hale, at least let me find something like that. Then I'm gonna be a little more happy. But Jennifer Hale. I mean, good God, I feel sorry for anybody who have to follow Jennifer Hale. The woman is absolutely legendary in the voice acting business, and it's like I think I didn't knew her name until like 7 years ago. That's when I found out her name. But it turns out that she's been in almost many of the video games that I have played. She has had some sort of role from Metal Gear Solid 1. And I'm going, damn, she has really been a part of my
She was
childhood for a
Sniper.
longest.
I'm guessing Sniper Wolf.
No,
No.
she played Naomi.
Oh yeah.
And she played her in Metal Gear Solid 4 as well, and so yeah, I mean she's a legend in the voice acting community. And then you have Claudia Black from Farscape. She stopped
Yeah.
acting and became more of a voice actor. She plays Chloe in Uncharted and a bunch of other games. And there are some really amazing talent
Yeah.
that they got in Mass Effect. I mean,
And
one
I do
character.
know that she did Morgan.
Have you seen the sci-fi series The Expanse?
Yeah, I did. I
Yeah, you know the UN chick, the Indian woman, the
Yeah,
UN woman.
the one with the
She
deep
play
voice.
Yeah, she plays Admiral Navala in Mass Effect 3.
Oh,
She's
I
the
can
Korean
imagine.
admiral.
I can imagine her going like, "I used to be this way when I was
Yes,
younger."
listen. If you listen closely, I recognize her voice immediately. Oh my God, that's the Admiral from Mass Effect, and
She,
that's her.
I know she has that like deep voice. Like you just couldn't,
Yeah.
you couldn't
If you
resist.
if you play Mass Effect 3 right now, you'll recognize her voice instantly.
Cause I
And
used to do this with my voice, and she
yeah,
sounds so sophisticated with that deep voice every time you listen
she's
to her.
actually she's actually Iranian, if you can believe that.
And it explains the deep voice because you know they
Yeah,
always
she
drink
has.
they drink that hot coffee, yo,
Yeah, but she has to.
like candy.
She's educated in Britain, so she has this sophisticated version of speaking English as well, and it makes a very good voice to have.
Yeah, because
And but I recognize her voice.
she does it pretty well when she does the deep voice because you just couldn't
I gotta
help.
say,
Go
off
ahead.
topic though. Off topic though, I love the Expanse show. I love Thomas Jane's character in that show.
Yeah, I watched that show and I kind of liked the guy who's investigating. I
I
forgot his
loved.
name.
I laughed my ass off. Yeah, he's the police detective. He plays the police detective, the
Oh,
guy with the
okay.
weird hair. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Thomas Jane. He plays the Punisher, in the Punisher movie, the good one.
Oh, yeah, I
And
remember.
yeah, yeah. And he had this funny line. He was talking about this electronic AI voice that was detecting gas, and I didn't know why, but I burst out laughing when he told it. The kid who used to sound, the electronic voice that used to tell you if there was a gas leak. Teddy, the detector, detects. I didn't know why, but I just burst out laughing. Teddy, the detector.
Yeah. There was this one character I liked out of that whole series. I forgot that kid's name. That one actor who's like, he sounds all like got to do this, man.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
I was like, I really liked his character, but it's sad what happened to his uncle. It was like,
Yeah, and you have Thomas Jane basically telling him, and later on in the season, kid, you need to get laid.
I admit that show was actually pretty interesting because that would have been like Mass Effect if they would have invented.
It's actually based on a book series, and I'm hoping they get to do the whole series because I looked at some of the books, and I didn't want to read all the synopsis for all the books because I didn't want to be spoiled. But if the show is heading where I think it's heading, it's going to be awesome, and
Yeah,
I
because
love the
I
Expanse.
I do recall that they did another show back then that was a book series, but unfortunately it wasn't that popular as a TV show, but it was popular as a book series, which was the Dresden Files.
Oh yeah, but I remember. But also you have to remember one thing: The Expanse is probably one of the few sci-fi shows we actually have seen on sci-fi. It's one of the first. I remember when The Expanse started completing. I mean, the production values in the series are amazing,
I
and
was surprised by it because they were showing a lot of stuff that I could not believe. Like they were in a studio just with small amounts of like green screen here and there, and you just see a bunch of other
yeah, but
things.
it's if done right, you can actually make a lot of convincing stuff with that if it's done right. I mean, but also they have built a lot of awesome looking sets for this show.
Mm.
You have the costume design, you have like this whole backstory, and you have all the
Yeah.
uniforms. I mean, they put a lot of effort into this. They said that the budget they had was less than what Game of Thrones had in its first
Wow.
season, and they barely had a budget. And
I recalled that Black Sails had how much of a budget did they use? Because they were using
not
mostly green
much.
screen. Yeah, they were using green screen most of the time in their videos
But
in
I
their.
think that always happens on television series when they want to try something new out. They always try to make it the cheapest way possible. So if it ends up being a failure, they haven't lost that much. But like with The Expanse and with Game of Thrones and Black Sails, once the show has become popular, they start to invest a lot more money. I was told like the Game of Thrones, like they just increased their budget like every season. They have been given more and more money to make the
Wow.
show. I mean, the season that's coming out now, right? This is the second. This is not the last season. This is the second to last season. So they're making 7 episodes this season, only 7, because the next season will be the finale. That's when they will end Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's
That's still,
impressive.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
because
it's great that,
I heard a lot of things about it, but I hope it ends in a good on good terms because a lot, assuming that a lot of people will die in this whole thing, because right
yeah, people have been saying that. I mean, even the actress who plays Daenerys have basically said that people will die, and she didn't say who. She was just like, but everybody who read the book kind of knows what's going on. But then again, not because the series have actually gone past the books now, and I think George R. R. Martin is going to have a heart attack before he finishes the other book because the guy looks like he eats like a motherfucker. Jesus, man, take
yeah,
care of
I
yourself.
know.
I don't want all I have to say, all I have to say to George R. R. Martin, if he's ever going to listen to this, for the love of God, man, stop eating that much. Take care of yourself. You're not a young guy in your 30s anymore. You're putting on a lot of weight here, dude. Exercise, go on a diet. We really want to see you live past the age of 80.
Yeah, unless you want to be like Stephen King.
Oh God. Oh, by the way, did you know that J.J. Abrams is actually making a series based on Stephen King's
Tower,
works now?
Tower.
Yeah, no, they're calling it Castle Rock. And what this is basically like it's set in Maine, of course it is.
Yeah, like always.
And yeah, and it's apparently they're gonna take a lot of the characters from different Stephen King novels and put them and actually include them and have them be in the same universe.
Oh, that's kind of like. Oh man, I guess he
I'm
can't.
really I'm really
Unless
curious to how.
I can probably attest to. I wonder how Silver Bullet is going to work with the other
No,
storylines.
they're gonna include the Annie Wilkes character that the right the crazy fan that takes the writer hostage played by
Oh
Kathy Bates.
yeah, Misery.
Yeah, that actually is one of his better ones. I have to say that movie won an Academy Award. I believe she won the Academy Award for that role,
I know.
and that's actually a pretty good movie. But when I heard that they were including Annie Wilkes in that movie and Pennywise was supposed to be in that movie, I'm going, yeah. One movie is more real because Misery is actually one of Stephen King's books where there's no supernatural bullshit. It's something that can actually happen in real life. A deranged fan captured, holds a celebrity hostage. It's basically every celebrity's worst
You want to
nightmare.
know his inspiration for writing that because an actual fan a while back said he killed somebody in real life. He accused the fan actually accused him of killing somebody. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, he's not the first guy that has happened to. I mean, there was like this crazy woman back in the 80s who was watching Days of Her Lives, and somebody killed off her favorite character. She threatened to kill the writer or some shit like that. It's this shit's been happening for a while, I think that Stephen King, I think I would go as far to say as I think Misery is probably one of his greatest books because it's not a supernatural mumbo jumbo story. It's got no supernatural element to it. It's actually something that could potentially actually happen, and that's makes it even scarier because this is something that could actually happen to a person. And both actors in this movie are terrific, and I really think that is a great movie. It's suspenseful. It does hit all the right buttons. While you have a movie like It, which is funny because you have oh God, what's his name?
Yeah.
Tim Curry playing Pennywise, and that's funny for a while. But
Let's
then it starts to
see.
get annoying, and then when
Well,
they ended with "I am a
let's
with a giant fucking spider,"
let's put it this way. You got Firestarter, which was another one.
hmm
Dead
the
Zone.
Tommy Knockers. Oh God, the
Yeah,
Tommy Knockers. Oh
Cujo.
God, the movie is terrible. The book is awful. It's like, oh God,
And you
it's so
remember
bad.
Christina. You remember Pet Cemetery.
Actually, that is one of his good ones.
Yeah, Cujo
Your
was
eyes
another
take
one I
in a lot.
remembered,
When
and
your eyes feel
that was
dry,
Oh yeah,
weird.
that was a weird one. I mean, I'm a dog person. I like dogs, so I
But
was like bullshit.
yeah, because his books were just weird though. Because when he did, and then a lot of people don't realize he did a lot of other books that were like he did the the star.
Oh yeah, that was also something they. If you Google Castle Rock trailer Abrams, you will see that they actually include the Shawshank State Penitentiary prison in the series as well.
Yep. And
Also,
I
yeah,
wish he made another sequel to Star Firestarter because I liked it, that one, and that starred my favorite actress, Demi. Oh, I forgot her name. Um, it was a movie. I know that Firestarter was a really good movie.
I gotta say though, it's crazy to think that
Drew
one of
Barrymore
his
was
short, yeah,
Charlie.
Drew Barrymore, yeah, oh yeah. But I think it's funny when it comes to Stephen King, for all the big books that he's written, the one thing that he wrote that was a tiny novella that consisted like a 50-page novella called Rita Hayworth and the Shawshank Redemption. His tiny 50-page document became probably one of the best movies ever made. And and that movie to this day is number 1 on IMDb.
Yeah.
It People are still pissed that that movie lost to Forrest Gump. But of
Yeah.
course, Forrest Gump was a good movie too. I'm not knocking Forrest Gump, but you have to remember back in '94, I believe, 95, 94, 95, when, I mean, Shawshank Redemption has been number 1 for since IMDb got
Let's
created.
see. He did. Let's see. There's other books he did. He did The Running Man.
Oh God, not a fan.
Uh, Christine. Let me see what Chris.
Except
Oh,
the movie
I
that was,
remember Christine. I remember Christine because when I was a kid, I was always scared that that movie scared the heck out of me because I remember my dad had a car similar to Christine, and it was actually my grandpa's car, and I assumed that car was like a Plymouth Fury, and I was just like, oh my god, it was
Yeah,
a.
I'm gonna listen. I hate to cut you off here, man, but I gotta go
All
because
right, leave your
I
final
gotta get.
thoughts about the Mass Effect thing, and I will.
I think my final thoughts on Mass Effect Andromeda will be that I like the environments. I like some of the combat that I've seen. I am not sold on the story or the dialogue yet because what I've seen so far, I am not impressed with. But keep in mind, I've only seen a 10-minute footage from it, and I'm hoping it's gonna get better. And I want this game to be good, but I can't say any more about it until March 16th when I finally get my hands on
The
on
demo
the trial.
on the
Yeah.
trial version. Okay, because I that's fair
Well,
enough.
the trial version is basically the full version of the game, except that you get to play it only for 10 hours. But that should be enough to have some impression on what the fuck is going
I
on.
would rather buy the physical copy of the game. That's just me.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna buy it until I'm not gonna buy it since I'm just trying it out. I'm not gonna pay the full price for the game
That's true.
if I'm gonna hate it. So that's my opinion so far
Yeah,
about it.
and plus you told me that that game doesn't require that a good computer to play it.
It requires just a medium. If you have a computer that is like 2 years old, yeah, you're gonna be able to play it fine.
Okay, because that's fine. We're gonna end this thing. Thank you for listening to us talking about this, rambling on about other stuff and Mass Effect Andromeda. So, anyways, guys, bye bye.